Okay, Mr. Doany, the floor is yours.
Hi. The timing is approximately 10 to 15 minutes. And can I just very quickly know in this room how many people in this room are actually investing in, let's say, risky ventures like startups? And okay, so you are already investing. Okay. Do you think you made the right decision? Is that a no or yes, or you still don't know? You still don't know, right? We will see. You know, one of the complications that we as human beings face is that, you know, we don't want to miss out, right? Yani there's this thing that there's some notion of, you know, fear of missing out is some people, you know, refer to it as that. But basically, human beings don't want to miss out. You know, I mean, if something is going well and look like people are doing well out of it, even if you're just doing something good, it doesn't have to be that you're necessarily, you know, making money from it or something, but you don't want to miss out on the good things. The problem of not missing out on the good things is that you have to go through a lot of bad things. My brother Sabur also knows what that means, you know. So you have to go through a lot of meaning failures. And so I had a question yesterday which inspired a thought in me yesterday, coming from a question was given, which was a very good question, I think, saying that, because remember what we're here basically trying to do is to tell executives, if you are in a job, perhaps you should invest a bit of your money in something like a venture. Perhaps you should, perhaps you shouldn't. And there are factors whether you should or you shouldn't. You know, like liquidity is one factor, for example. It means can you turn that investment into money if you need the money? Can you turn what you invest back into money if you need the money? With a loss, with a gain, but can you? Liquidity, that's very critical, you know. If that's the case, then, you know, just go and invest in, for example, liquid assets. You invest in stock, bonds, something which is tradable, so you can always sell it. You can always exit, you know. That's liquidity. Start from the liquidity part. If you're willing to wait longer, then you may want to get into something which is more risky, but then you need to do a lot more of them, right? And then he said, isn't this like gambling? He said, isn't this like gambling? And I said, it's actually worse than gambling. You know why? Because you're giving your money to somebody who is actually gambling your money away. So, you know, like if you are investing or you're yourself going to a casino to gamble, then you're gambling your own money. So you're giving it to somebody else who is gambling it. Yeah, so you see what I'm trying to say. So it's a little bit complicated, this subject. So if we categorize the people into change and future activity can only come from risk ventures. They only come from things that didn't look possible at the time they were done, didn't look worth to do at the time they were done. And the later you join them, the lower is your, let me say, net return, right? And that's why people don't want to miss out. I heard a lot of fun gatherings with people saying, you know, I don't want to miss the next, let's say, Google, to use a less, you know, negative connotation with all of these giant companies who are abusing their power. At least maybe they say Google, or not to say Facebook, or if you say Uber, that's another like really interesting thing to say. Or you say like SoftBank, for example, and WeWork. You know, like he was thinking that WeWork would be the next Google. How can WeWork be the next Google? I mean, there's nothing in WeWork. Really, there's no innovation. There's nothing in it. It's a bunch of thieves, basically, is what they've done, and they've cheated people. And even the founder of that entity exited, I think net 1.4 billion or something. 2,000 people will lose their jobs. Why don't you donate 10% of your money, to those people who've lost their jobs? You just cashed out your money. You understand what I'm talking? So how many billions got into that business model, which cannot scale? Can you scale Uber? You cannot scale it. The more you do, the more it costs. So you understand? So are you really, running something on a relatively flat cost, which can then do a lot more and more and more and more? That's the meaning of scaling. See what I'm saying? So what we do, we end up with the hype. And everybody gets into this hype. I'm going to miss out on the next Uber. Perhaps you should. Why are you also worried about the next Uber? Why can't you enjoy your life with what you're doing and invest in the things you really believe in? And if you need liquidity, work backwards from that. So this is important. So, because this is directed towards executives, supposedly, this forum, supposedly, so that people are working in companies. And then I got this question yesterday saying that, okay, so you've been working in companies for a very long time. So how did you turn them into more entrepreneurial spirit while they're working? And I said, here's a clue for you. I'll give you a clue. Here's the clue. Somebody comes to you in a company and says, I have this amazing idea. He's a director in the company or whatever. He's a senior guy. And he comes and tells you, I have this amazing idea that he thinks the company should do. Okay, what will it cost? So this is going to cost X. Now, the person you're talking, so you're an employee, and you're talking to your boss. Your boss is also an employee. It's not his company. This is out of budget. And he's going to go to his boss, ching, all the way up to supposedly, let me say, the shareholders, board and shareholders, supposedly, right? The person who made this suggestion doesn't lose anything if it fails. Here's the catch, you see? It doesn't lose anything if this fails. So to be taken seriously in the position you're in, because he was asking, when you're working in a large company, how can you, in a company of 30,000 people, how can you find people in there to be entrepreneurial, to work something for the company, to do something different? And it comes from that, I told him. It comes from either top down. So we have the idea, now who wants to participate in it? That's easy. Top down is always easy. But guess what? Let's go bottom up. So you are a very smart person willing to take risks. So you go to your boss, and what do? You tell him, I'll give up 2-month pay this year. I'm getting a performance bonus, right? You are my boss. You know that I'm going to get that bonus because I'm delivering the performance you gave me. My targets are this. You know I'm going to deliver them. So I'm getting the 2 months bonus. I don't want them, those 2 months. But I want you to spend that money, but don't give it to me. That's my give. If you are an employee and you tell your boss that you're willing to give something up for the idea that you believe in, right? Then your boss will listen to you because it's not his money either. And that is the meaning that if you're not willing to take some risk, you're not going to be able to achieve that ambition that you have. If your ambition is just to make money, if that's what you want to do, then don't invest in startups because that's not the best way to make money, if that's what you want. You see, and that's the whole idea, is that people don't do these things because they want to make money. But you're not going to give the money away either, right? So that's why there has to be a return on the money, but you have to be willing to lose it. You have to be willing to take that risk where you're going to give that up and you may not get it back. So what is money? Anyway, so if you lose money in one transaction, does it disturb you that much? If you maybe make it up in another way? Think about that, right? So you lost $50,000 on one company, but it gave you this heartache. I lost that $50,000 in that company. Okay, the other one you made 60, so now you're $10,000 up. Should you still be unhappy? He's still unhappy. Well, why are you unhappy? Because that damn thing didn't work. What about the people in that company who were working there in the hope that it will work? They lost their job, they lost everything. What did you lose? You lost something you can recover. You see? And that's why the people who work with startups or something like that, really, I think that people like me included, I think we are psychopaths. Really. I think, why are we doing this? Why are we agonizing ourselves with this and fighting with our family, and our close ones? This wasn't a good decision to do. Shut up. I know what I'm doing. Right? So ask yourself that way, why are we all here? Yeah, as we say. Okay, so we are here because, first of all, we are willing to lose something, to do something, and we want to do it with people who think the same way. And the most important thing under that is we want to do something good. We want to feel that we did something good, you see? It's important for people to feel that we did something good. And that's the part. But is it worth to go to all this pain just to do something good? You can also give your money away. Instead of investing 50, then donate 10,000. Help students, and it's another option of, you still have 40,000 now. You just donated the 10, and now you're feeling good about it. Because that is what angel investment is. It's a form of giving, actually. But you shouldn't just donate it, so it has to be done in a structured way, where you try to give some value and hope that you can build and create something of value. And also remember that the people who build things may not want to sell them. That's why, in all the companies, when we were investing, for example, the first question I would be asking, the entrepreneur, as they call them, or whatever, the company founder, okay, so how much money will it take to get to what is needed? Where are we in that chain? So this needs $500,000, and it looks like we have of it 100. So we're going to have to still raise 400. What if it turns out that 500,000 not enough? Okay, so we call it fully funded plan. What's the full funding requirement? Full. Put some contingency. So now we know it's that much. Because if we don't get that money, everything we're doing is going to go down, right? And then ask second question, most important. And if we achieve that, okay, and all of a sudden, 2 years from now, a guy walks in like me into this room, not like me, somebody better than me or somebody richer than me, and says, I want this company, I'm buying it from you. What is the number in your head? The number, let's say $2 million. I'm giving you $10 million. But I want you out of this company. I'm taking over right now. I told him, and you're going to end up with 4 times the money you thought you're going to make on this deal. 4 times. You think you're going to get $1 million, you get $4 million. I told him like that. And I tell them, now, think 2 years from now with $4 million, what will you do? They can answer in 2 ways. Either they say, I will reject the offer because I want to build my company. Okay, fine, it's good to know. There's nothing wrong with that. Or he will come back and tell you that there's this other idea I have, and that's what I will use the $4 million for. You see? And he knows that idea from now. So this is what they call the serial types. Serial psychopath. Serials. It means, what do? They can't wait to get this damn company sold so that they can go to the next one. Fine. That's a compulsive gambler. You understand? Nothing wrong with that either, but you need to know what kind of a psychopath, because well, they are. It is very important, that we do that. Because if you're not a psychopath, in a way, I'm joking, as you know very well what I mean, but if you're not a kind of a psycho, you're not going to build a company. You're not going to take that irrational decision to do something so risky as to risk everything just to get that dream in your head and to do it, you see? So this is not a question of being a psychopath because you're hurting others. You're actually hurting yourself, and you're hurting maybe your own family. So startups are messy and risky and everything, and I've had my own share of pain from them. But it's what you need to go through. Coming from also corporate background, we also made venture capital funds under the companies, and we tried to convince board that we should make investments and all of those things, because in the end companies also, I think that companies are going to become a very important source of funding. for what you call corporate venture capital, going forward. And that could be a good thing also, because if you have some of them, of their money involved in something that you're involved with, that's good. It gives the added dimension of, control over it. So we are living in a time, I think, that the investment cycles are getting shorter and shorter because the use of what people are doing is becoming much shorter. So technology is changing so quickly now that what we think we know will be obsolete very, very quickly. You see? And that's why I was asking you, about this notion of money and whether, if you're doing it for the money, then better that you spend your money in a better way. I don't know if any of this makes sense or is of any use to you, but that's what I have to say. So thank you very much.